this is Asvardal, and welcome to an exciting new episode of my Game Development Livestream. Today we are working on Sara the Shieldmage. It's an Eastern-style RPG being made in Unity for all of the computer platforms, Windows, Linux, Mac, and a lot has changed in the last 2 weeks with this game, but in a very, very good way. First, you'll notice that we're not actually on Sara the Shieldmage. It's an Eastern-style RPG being made in Unity. That's better, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. So yeah, you'll notice that we've got a castle town going on here. This was not in here last time, and that's for a very good reason. I've managed to complete, well, not to say complete, I've created a vertical thin slice of the game. Now, for those of you not familiar with software development, what that means is I've pretty much gone and created at least something of every major feature that is going to appear in the software. An Eastern style RPG is kind of an interesting case because there's a few things that an Eastern style RPG really needs. It needs to have a world map. There need to be towns. There need to be mini dungeons. Those are easy. That's just content. There have to be random battles. I think where I left off last time, I was having issues with getting AI to work, but I finally was able to get that to work. You need to have loot. There's treasure chests all around the game world. You need to have quests. Otherwise, well, how do you measure your progress? There's a couple of other things like shops that I also need to include, but by and large, I was able to create these 5 scenes and get them in front of people, and so far the response has been generally good. It's an Eastern style RPG in the old style, before Square Enix started screwing everything up all over the place. And just people liked it. It succeeded. That's exactly what I was going for. Now, just to prove that I've done this work, I'm going to give you a very brief playthrough of it. So first things first, there's just a default NPC here. It's a town crier. Right now, every NPC in the game, all 2 of them, are marching ladies. I'm going to be solving that at some point in the future. This NPC, though, is going to be a little bit more important. This is going to be Captain Gardor of the Nuria Guard, and the whole thing going on with Captain Gardor for the Thin Slice is that, well, they had an ancient ancestor who helped the Order of the Luminescent Shield, to which Sara the Shieldmage is a part of, and they got a special shield. But it was stolen, so there's a reward posted for retrieving it, so let's go do that. I just got the fade out between screens working tonight. Shoutouts to Tony Lee in the Unity forums, very skilled user. I've got a world map here. Yeah, you can definitely see this wasn't there before. Now, one interesting thing to note is I haven't enabled random battles on this world map just yet. I've got the trees that I'd been using before, the ones that look like shivs. I've got a few different sizes of those all over the place. I'm going to be adding a random battle trigger to all of this sooner or later. But yeah, right now, fact remains, you have a world map. Let's go in the cave. So this is going to be mostly as you remember it. Only thing is we can get into random battles like this one. I have to thank the random number gods for cooperating with me there. Okay, and the slimes do hit back, so I actually need to use Metagard. Regenerate. There we go. I was able to finish that battle at full HP. I got 9 Saphirium. That's going to be the currency of the game. Let me open my main menu and show you guys that. Yeah, it's just a key item. You can use it to buy items from shops. That's sort of how it goes. You can also see a setup for your stats right here. A lot of this is going to change. I've actually noticed some problems when I made an experimental PC build a little bit earlier this week. It just completely screws the UI up. And that's something I'm going to be fixing sooner than eventually. It's a little bit higher of a priority. You can see that you can see what moves you have for a given character. When you have a party of more than one person, you'll have some arrows right here. And yeah, you know how much ATB it takes to use a particular ability. You get a brief description on what it does. Right now there's nothing for settings. I'm gonna have to do that at some point. Save system doesn't work either. And this equipment screen, if you have any equipment for a given category in your inventory, you can just click a button that'll open a cut down version of your inventory, only with things that are suitable to that slot. Now I haven't added items to be able to show you guys that, but it's there. But yeah, that is interesting. You're not supposed to get the antique shield from there. I'm a little worried about that. Okay, so stuff still ain't right, but the point remains that you have treasure chests all over the game world. And another random battle. Just going to use Metagard right away. Now, this is where we get into some of what I'm going to be working on tonight. Okay, let him hit me one more time. Okay, fine, I'll end the battle with one less HP than I normally would. And this is where I'm going to be getting to tonight. I do want to create a special effect or two. Also, since it looks like we already got the antique shield, that should have tripped an encounter. That should have tripped a sequence trigger. Let me check that though, just to make sure, because it happened in an unexpected spot. Sequence manager, yeah, favor repaid, counter 2. Yeah, that's exactly what we want to see. That's another thing I probably need to add to the game, is a quest sub-menu to our main menu. That way you know exactly what that way you can see the quest name and the quest details, so that you know what you need to do. That's sort of an important thing to know for an RPG. You know, what if you play Sara the Shieldmage, don't play it for about 2 months, then come back in wanting to finish the game? You know, I've got to tell you what you were doing. I should be helping you. That's my job as a game developer. Okay, and this is the correct text. Yeah. But one of the things is I haven't actually implemented the reward for that quest line, and that's probably something just very brief that I can show you guys on stream. One of the things I've put some work into doing is making sure that this game is as data driven as possible. That way I'm not having to code every single little freaking thing. I'm actually able to just get by with creating the core systems and then having data that tells the stuff how to behave. So yeah, this Nuria MPC2 text, this is, well, I don't like the fact that I have to use .txt because it's a text asset, because what it really is a JSON file. JSON means JavaScript Object Notation, and it's what I'm using to tell to do all sorts of things. I'm using it to have my list of enemies. I'm using it to create ability effects and abilities, and I'm also using it for dialogue. So this bit right here, this terminal thing, this is probably what I want to interact with. And creating like another text box or whatever is painfully simple. Let's see, dialogue. Yeah, you receive the guard's armor. We get some options in here. Options are pretty much alternative buttons that you can press to do stuff. There we go. There we go. Continue. Target ID 6. And then dialogue events. This is where I need to actually tell the system to give an item. Give item. So it should be something like that, if I'm remembering right. Let me check my treasure chests. Okay, I was slightly off. It's gain item, not give item, or get item. Whatever the heck I called it. Gain item, gain item. Excellent. Only problem is I haven't actually created that that item. That's kind of tricky. Oh wait, that's right. I've created a list of items too. Yeah, it's all data driven. See, I don't have to code a bit of it. I can just create the stuff and all's good. This is the power of making sure to create a data driven setup. So just give it like a description, value. It's a little heavier armor, so it needs to be worth a little bit more. This is all subject to playtesting at a later time. And that doesn't need an extra comma. There we go. So there we go. We have our incrementally stronger armor, and whenever we complete this, we'll get this armor in our inventory with exactly this set of... Oh wait, I forgot my consume effects. That's right. It's not a consumable, but all inventory items can also have consume effects. So in theory, there are, like, I could create a sword that you could actually use in battle to restore your health or something ridiculous. I'm probably not going to do that for obvious reasons, but it's a possibility. So there you go. Okay, so as you see, I don't have to wait for anything to recompile either. And that's another good thing about doing a data-driven approach. You're not dependent on code. Now one thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and test the quest on camera for you guys right quick. I'm not going to go talk to the NPC because whenever you go and you find the correct treasure chest, it'll automatically set the sequence trigger to the right point for you. So that little bit of data work I did on camera, I mean, it's pretty cool. I really like it, and it's going to pay dividends for me actually in the coming 2 weeks. Pretty much the main challenge of making an RPG actually isn't the game systems so much. It's really much more all the content you have to create, because like you can see, I'm using a lot of these 3D tiles to build the levels with. I've got a lot of other prefabs like crystals and water all over the place, and all that stuff's actually pretty easy. It's just the sheer amount of stuff that, well, to have a decent RPG, that you have to have. There we go. Another thing I need to actually do is to create some I need to create some visual effects for the battles, because like you noticed in that battle there that Sara, she just flung her hands forward and the enemy hurt, and that's not really what I want to do. I want to have like a special animation where like Sara slams the enemy with her shield or whatever. That was actually one of the bits of feedback I got on the Thin Slice. That Holy Shield isn't really a good name because it's funny to shield an enemy to death. That's sort of the point of Sara as a character. But it just doesn't translate itself to the fact that hey, this is an offensive move you can use if you have to. A lot of Sara's other abilities are intended to be much more practical for just defense and sort of passively fighting off enemies. Unlike some other characters I'm going to be introducing within the next 2 weeks. But that's different. Right, so let's go ahead. There we go, guard's armor. So go ahead and yeah, you see now that you have an additional piece of armor, you see this little button for change armor. And there we go, we can equip it and we get 8 HP. If you decide you don't like it, don't know why you wouldn't like 4 extra HP, yeah, there you go. Maybe you're OCD, maybe that's why you don't like 4 extra HP, because order buckler and order armor, now it's order buckler and guard armor, and yeah. I realize it messes with some people, but it's just fine. So there you go. The proof is in the pudding. You guys just saw me implement the quest reward for that for the Thin Slice minor side quest there, and that's all well and good. But now we've got some other things that it would probably be a good idea to do. A lot of these I'd mentioned at the start of the video. There's some other things like implementing diagonal movement, creating the quest log, I talked about that. Creating a boss fight for the side quest. That could be interesting. Coloring and animating the cave slime is actually something that might be really, really fun. Ultimately, what I'm going for with the enemies is enemies are going to be more composed of just single frames of animation. Unlike Sara, where you have like a whole bunch of different things that she could be doing, enemies much simpler. And I could also create a brand new enemy to get into the game. Maybe spice up some of our random encounters in the Crystal Cave a little bit. All of these are things I'm gonna have to do at some point. Creating the bat enemy. You guys have already seen me watch data. I could do that if I absolutely run out of stuff to do. You guys really like to see code, I've noticed. I've had a lot of people who have told me, hey, it's really good to see someone who actually shows code. And whoa, oh, that's right, I had yeah, okay, never mind. I had a button that was depressed. Not like clinically depressed, just pressed down, that's all. Okay, so now my town's symmetrical, so my OCD is satisfied. Coloring and animating cave slime. You guys really like programming, and I've heard a lot of criticisms of other game dev channels on Twitch and probably some on YouTube where they focus a lot on art because hey, it's art. Everyone loves to see like Bob Ross or dudes create art, and some people have liked to see it on my channel too. Don't get me wrong, but the feedback I've gotten is that you guys really want to see programming and art. Well, art isn't programming. Diagonal movement and the quest log in the main menu are kind of good candidates in that case. And I'm thinking that maybe the quest log is a little bit better. It's kind of standard with what I did the last few weeks, but ultimately, I don't really think that matters as much as some might think it does. Let's see. Let's do it. What the heck? Quest presenter. I've had enough of talking. Less talking, more developing. Okay, and we also need the pause controller. Okay. I'll just close all that. Okay, so we got the quest presenter. Let's see, we've got the pause controller, which we also need. Go ahead and get that all set up. Get my yeah. Oh yeah, I should tell you guys the story here. Yeah. So one of the things I was doing at my day job at one point was we were writing web pages using jQuery, and I always had the OCD tendency to like sort of make it so that like things that were shorter lines went on top and slowly expanded. But I guess I got so OCD at one point that like my coworkers actually said to me like, "Hey Andrew, stop making these Christmas trees of death all over our code." So so yeah, that's sort of my little coding at home paradigm now. I like to call these little Christmas trees of death in honor of my coworkers. So yeah, it's just a little thing. Um, as for the quest presenter itself, let's see, this is going to be a presenter base. It's going to inherit from presenter base anyways. There we go. We see how chat's doing. Okay, chat's kind of quiet tonight, but that's okay. I've noticed chat usually picks up in like the sometime like in the last 30 minutes of my live streams for some reason. I don't know why, but it's a thing apparently. Cool. Let's see. And if you don't know what any of this stuff is, I've got some of my own GUI framework. I guess something that's something interesting worth noting is at some point I'm actually going to be converting all of this UI stuff over to the new Unity GUI. And that's because when I was trying to build my PC version of the game a little bit earlier this week, I was able to get it going, don't get me wrong. It's just that the UI started behaving really freaking strange and I think that's because I'm kind of pushing the legacy GUI to its limits. Using the new three-dimensional GUI is probably a lot just better of an idea, to be perfectly honest, and it sort of fits the kind of controller presenter style that I've got going on. So that's another useful thing too. Right. So to set visibility, we need draw me. And we need tween. Private. We need access to the sequences, and no, fortunately that's easy to latch onto thanks to the little manager setup I've got where I can just I can just have a static property that automatically finds an instance for me. That helps. Let's see. Other than that, yeah, I think yeah, that's sort of the skeleton of it. Right, so I need to go back to my pause controller because now we've got some thinking to do. So we've got the pause interface, we've got pause presenter. Let's go to definition on the pause presenter. Yeah, we need to add a as Vardual button to this. So we've got equipment, items, magic. We need a quest button. That method doesn't yet exist, but that's going to be solved very, very shortly. Of course, we tween the button, and that's it. All right, so I guess the next order of business then is to actually create the method there that allows us to see the Quest UI pretty much. Let's see, here we go. So there's our member change stuff. There's our item use stuff. It's been a while since I've seen some of this code, so I would ask that you bear with me. Okay. Okay. So we're going to show the right thing. We're going to hide everything else. I'm going to have to go through and make sure that a quest.set visibility false is woven into all of these sorts of things where I'm just sort of brute forcing. I could probably rewrite part of this code so that I automatically know like which thing I last opened, and it'd probably be a good idea to do that. But I'm probably not going to do that. Settings. Probably going to go ahead and just do this like right here. So that's open settings, open quests, open equipment, close pause menu. Christmas tree of death. Let's see, anything else? Present item interface. Yeah, do that there. Open pause menu. Hides the interface, presents the interface, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Member.set visibility. Yeah, I definitely want to hide the member thing. What's going to happen with the quests is actually go back into my editor and show you guys. Um, member stat presenter. This is pretty much this big box. Oh, I broke something. And I double clicked it. Dang it. Why did I double click it? That was not bright. Sure, fix the line endings. That's cool. Okay. Quest presenter. These need to be overrides because they are hiding the base classes version of the methods. So C# needs to know that that is intended. It's sort of a stupid proofing trick on Microsoft's part to make sure that you can't do some of the ridiculous things you can do yourself in C++. Which means for those of you who are wanting to use Unreal, think twice about that. C++ will protect you from shooting yourself in the foot, compared to C, anyways. The problem is that there's a lot of other stupid things you can do in C++ that you can't quite do in C#. Of course, you can do some stupid things in C# too. You know, if you take too much of the power to do stupid things away, you have an unusable language pretty much. But well, don't worry about that. We're using C# on this channel. Let me see how chat's doing actually. Yeah, still quiet. That's cool. Yeah, so this box right here, that's the member stat presenter, and that's what we're going to be hiding in the quest when we switch to the quest presenter. Speaking of, we go ahead and start getting these sorts of things set up, and I may as well. All right. So what we're going to have first, there's going to be a background. There's going to be, oh, Asvardual description. No, that's an Asvardual label. Big difference. And then there's going to be 2 buttons for the last and next quest. Pretty simple. Nothing too nasty here. And that's it. Okay, so this bit's going to be background.drawme. One shot button sound. And this is another reason I want to convert to the new GUI too, is because from what I've seen, you can actually do a sort of an event-oriented an event-oriented setup with buttons. Like right here, I'm having to check is clicked when I might also want to check, user presses A and last quest button is highlighted. That might be something else. So, um, yeah, the the legacy GUI isn't really the best thing in the whole wide world, but it works for right now while I'm still building the game. There's actually a adage in most engineering disciplines, and that's like um, it's like get it working, then get it right. Because you can waste a whole lot of time trying to get something perfect before you ever know if it works, and then you have this thing that should theoretically be perfect, and when you try to use it, whoa, hey, surprise, it doesn't work. You never checked that it doesn't work, so that's something to do. All right, so I think what I'm going to do with this is where things get a little bit tricky. This is where it's, well, actually, this isn't tricky. This isn't tricky so much. Yeah, quest name, quest details. That's pretty much all that's really needed. And we're just going to be passing a quest to this and updating it from there. Now, this is where things get somewhat more interesting. Because we can update the presenter and we can interact directly with the sequence manager. Go to the declaration for that. See, we got sequences and we got quest dates. Sort of a quest is a higher level thing than a sequence state. A quest pretty much a quest is a name tied to a description, but there's also a sequence name in this that's used to tie a quest to an active sequence. So what I really need to do is figure out a way to determine whether or not a quest is complete, because if you've completed a quest, well, actually no. You might want to see what quests you've completed. That's not quite accurate. Yeah, I think we'll just stick with showing what you've got. And that's okay too. Okay, so what I think we're going to do in that case. First I need a quest ID, and that's just going to be used to read a individual quest from the list. I'm going to have a method that I use to just show the presenter. And here's how this is going to work. going to do state equals if oh, it's too much. Oh, easy there. Doink quest equals. I'm just going to do that. That's going to set up it'll pretty much set up a temporary quest without like actually writing it to the sequence manager. And then I can just do update presenter quest set visibility true. There we go. Then in our pause controller, I can just do that. And then this is where the real magic is going to happen. Actually, we're not going to ask the controller for a quest. We're going to have two methods: load next quest and load last quest. It's going to be simple. Private int quest ID minus minus we go too far, it'll go down. Let's see. Yeah, that's what we want to do. It might seem a little weird, but it is what we want to do. So if it goes beyond that, because we've got it set up so that there's always at least one quest. Show presenter. There we go. And because this defaults to 0, we'll never have a case where if you like start up a game and you have 3 quests, it won't try to start you on the 4th quest or anything. It'll always start you on that first quest, and you'll be locked into clicking buttons as necessary. It's a lot of division by 0 exceptions. I think Chuck Norris was here. Hey guys, how's it going? All right, so now the next thing on the agenda is going to be to create to actually create the boxes for these elements. Lucky for me, I know just how to do that. I just need to rip off some numbers right quick. I could do my usual thing where I just sort of repeat the numbers as I enter them, but that's kind of silly. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to take a little bit smarter of an approach. I'm going to write them down while I'm looking them up. Just because, I don't want you guys to think I'm any crazier than I actually am, I mean, got a reputation to uphold of being crazy, right? I think that's it. Nope, nope, that's not it. Okay. So it's going to be a box that starts at 0.01, 0.02. It's going to stretch to the right 0.7, 70% of the screen, and it's going to stretch down 93% of the screen. That only took forever to figure out. And why did I put the base tint to being like that? That's kind of crazy. Okay, zero. Well, that's my reputation. There it is in action. Got to keep people off balance. Oh wait, why did I put that there? Guess it's being that sort of crazy. Got to keep people off balance, right? Yeah. Okay, so is relative. I could have sworn I had is relative on by default, but I guess I didn't. This is the boring part of UI creation. To go through and do all the little things and debug the layout. I guess this is where the programming starts to edge into art territory. That's fine. I mean, I guess I really would go crazy if I had to do all code all the time. Nothing against code, don't get me wrong. Code's great. I could talk code all day. I have, actually. It's relaxing to do something other than code. Okay. So let's see I think the member select presenter. I think I've got a good set of dimensions there, so it's going to be it. Crap. Actually, no, that's good. That's the thing. Never expect to be infallible when writing code. You can, will, and in fact will often mess up, so just sort of expect it and be able to roll with it. And I think that's the secret to success. It's sort of like being a chef. Except people don't come up to you saying how good your bubble sort tastes. If they do, well, there's a good chance they're probably me. No, I'm just kidding. I'm teasing. You know what? 0.3. Yeah, there we go. And then I'm just going to keep the buttons here just sort of out of the way for right now. I'll get to them in just a second. I really need to get the UI button. I mean, if I can click the button and I see something appear, then I know I'm on the right track. See, so it's 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.55. Okay. 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5. This needs to be bumped up to 0.6. This needs to be bumped up to 0.7. This needs to be bumped up to 0.8. There we go. My GUI layout's going to be a little bit on the lopsided side. But it'll be fine. I hope. YOLO. I've got a quiet chat tonight. Oh, hello. Well, I could see something that's not quite as planned, but quest log is empty. It's appearing. Okay. That's a good sign. That's a good sign, indeed. I'm forgetting something. Oh, right, I need to open up the pause presenter. Let's see, I've got tweening. I've got the click event. Got the target tint thing. Definitely got it defined. Why didn't the button appear, though? It's got a tween rate, right? Wrong. It doesn't have a tween rate. There we go. That's why we couldn't see the button. Let's see. Pause presenter, if I remember right, is that underscore presenter. Okay. I don't need to hide that. That only applies to the settings dialog because we're going to need literally every bit of screen real estate that exists for that. Because that's going to be a huge freaking screen, but it's okay. We don't need it right now. Okay. Right. All right, let's try this again. Okay, so we have a quests button. And we have whatever those are. Seriously, I have no idea what those are. Let me see if I can find out what they are. Oh wait, no, those are roofs of the houses. I'm an idiot. Never mind. Don't listen to me about that. I forgot that I had roofs of the houses that were that sort of weird blue color, so I thought they were part of my own UI. Okay, so not my finest moment, but it hopefully was funny. I seriously hope it was funny. Okay. So cool. Got that taken care of. Now I need to get the buttons. There we go. Actually, could position these from the bottom. That might be a better idea. That's certainly a little bit less mental mapping for me. Okay, let's see if this works. What I don't get though is why quest name is appearing there. That makes no sense. Yeah, see what I mean? Okay. The good news is that we can also mess with the GUI here so I can know what exactly I need to do. And it seems like I was close. The buttons need to be a little bit bigger. And then I just need to bump everything. Actually, no, I don't need to bump everything up. I need to bump the background thing down a little bit, actually. Needs to be like... That looks about right. And then I can probably nudge the buttons up ever so slightly. And that looks a lot better. So I'll go ahead and just do exactly that. $965. Sweet. Oh, that's why I had the alpha set to 255, so it was always showing whether I wanted it to or not. Okay. So, it was just a silly error, so. There we go. Quests. Okay, so I messed up the... Oh wait, that's right, I didn't change the X coordinate. That was 0.31. Okay. And I hope you like that the cave music, friends and viewers, because I haven't actually thought to compose town music just yet. I hope it's not too grating, because I mean this is a town, not a cave. So yeah, there we go. Okay, so let's test this. So, next and last should still do nothing. But this time I should have a quest. Okay, cool. So that works. Huzzah! Got got something good done. I guess the only other thing in that case that I could really do is go ahead and start nudging the buttons up by 0.05. That way, that way I don't manage to trigger anyone's OCD, especially not my own. If you think having OCD and watching something that someone else is doing is hard, try being the one actually doing it and being able to mess up on camera. It's one of those things. Fortunately, I don't have clinical OCDs, so it could be worse. Could be a lot worse. There we go. It's looking a little bit better. Now, one important thing to note too is that under normal circumstances, the only time that you'll have this case where you've got only one active quest is at the very start of the game. Pretty much the plan with Sara the Shieldmage is to go for a more open world approach. Uh, by that, I mean there's going to be 3 continents. There's going to be a few major cities. I'm planning to maybe make a few small villages that have a handful of NPCs, but with a couple of small quests where you can like get like another piece of armor or what have you. Um, yeah, I really want this game to be, yeah, an Eastern RPG. You go around, you find and manage to recruit party members, and and the game emphasizes the travels of the group as opposed to like how tricked out you can make one individual. But I also really like the way we do things. You know, here in the West, Western games, we have a lot of exploration. Just look at Elder Scrolls Skyrim, right? And that's something I want to play up in this too. I mean, I really want people to come into this game. They'll get smacked with the JRPG tropes like right away, and they'll be like, "Okay, JRPG." But then, you know, as soon as like that first major plot event's done, and it's like, well, you need to go to this place to advance the plot, but there's this little village right over here. You might want to go check them out. You could also go over to the desert over here, and or you could go to the forest. You know, I really like that that sort of thing. Like, okay, yeah, you should go here, but you don't have to. You can go wherever the heck you want, and making that going wherever the heck you want actually important, like unlocking new party members and unsealing abilities. Like one of the things early early on in the video, I was showing off the ability list data file here. Go and open that up for you guys so you can see it. Actually, no. Let me open. Yeah, the ability list. That's what I was thinking of. Like I'm going to be renaming Holy Shield Shield Bash, just because it's a little bit clearer of a name. But you'll notice that in previous videos you've seen maybe 2 abilities. You've seen Holy Shield and Metaguard, but here, let's see, we've got Restorum, which Sara can use right now. It's an all-ally healing spell. You've got Thorn Guard, which is a lot like Metaguard, except that it guarantees you a counterattack, which is huge. We're going to rename that to something else. I mean, yeah, that's 2 moves that under normal that in my thin slices right now I have them working. It's just you don't have the ability to use them, and I want to be able to unseal and upgrade abilities freely. So yeah, I'm thinking since I've got about 20 minutes left on this session, I think. See, we've got the quest log in the main menu done and out of the way. I don't have multiple quests, but within the next 2 weeks, I will, rest assured, viewers. Um, Thinking I might actually want to do something simpler and maybe color in that slime and make a couple of animations for that. I can probably do that in pretty short order. So let me put my notepad over here since done with that. Tell you what, let's do that. I think that'll be fun. Although I do pay attention to to my chat. So if you guys want to see something different, just do like at @asvardul, and so that it shows up on my screen more easily, and I'll be happy to do it. But yeah, right now we're gonna make this guy a real enemy. Whenever GIMP starts up, it's probably the most important part. Then I'll guess I'll copy it. Oh no, not like that. Copy this for good effect. Okay, so there's like 4 frames that I'm going to be doing stuff with. So it's going to be idle, which is going to start with the main colored frame. I'm going to be extremely cheap with how I do this too. Pretty much what I'm thinking is, since I have to mass produce enemies at any rate, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it as simple on myself as possible. And spare myself as much work as I possibly can. Now that brush is way too thick. Let's try that instead. And that's another thing too, is I am a one-man band, so I don't exactly have infinite resources to throw at the game either. As much as I would like to, it'd be really fun. I just can't do it. Let's see. I'll go ahead and lighten this up. I'll give the slime like a core. Not a small core either. Needs like a visible core. I really like the World of Warcraft slimes, actually. The ones where they have like that little skull suspended in them. It's just so cool. I mean, it just totally gives that feeling that that slime is actually digested someone or something. It's well, it's not a nice touch for whoever it digested, but it's still a fair touch. And then what I think I'll also do, also give it a little bit of a shadow there. And I'll freehand in that gloss right there, because it is made of liquid, so it's a slime. It's made of liquid, so it's going to be a little bit on the shiny side. Okay. I could even like, ooh, that would be so sinister. Okay. I'm going to do something I don't normally do with slimes. I'm going to give it a face. It's going to have little eyes. Yeah, there we go. It's going to have beady little eyes. because it's a slime and it's planning no good. Oh, it's never going to be an actual threat, no, but, you know, no one needs to tell the slime that it's never going to actually be a threat. That would hurt the slime's feelings. It needs to be a good actor for the game. I mean, slime. And this is where I'm going to get really sneaky. It's going to do like an evil flicker. Going to drop it to just the silhouette. It gets harmed. I'm going old school on this. Going like all NES and stuff. I'm just going to delete this one. Like I said, I'm not going to go too out and out on enemies except for their idle frame. There might be some that I go a little, like the bosses. Bosses. Okay, those are bosses. You sort of have to go out and out on a boss. That's just the way it works. But yeah. Let's see, I think these are these 64? No, those are 128s. Contrary to what you think, it does matter. Because if I try making them like too high for what they actually are, there's not really much of an effect because Unity will be like, okay, you told me it was 1024 by 1024, but it's really 128 by 128, so I'll just use that since that's the best resolution it can get out of it. But like if it's a 128 by 128 and I tell it it's a 32 by 32, it'll try to render it as a 32 by 32, which will make it look like complete crap, and that's not what I want. So I guess the next thing I need to do with the slime actually is start working on the animations. So we're going, whoa, got some code in there. So it needs to be, so I need to have an attack, bad effect, and good effect. It's going to have 3 frames. It's going to do the light flicker. Then for the bad effect, it's going to have 3 frames and do the dark flicker. Wait. Yeah. 3 frames and the dark flicker. And then good effect is going to do the light flicker too, I guess. Okay. And this is good because now I can mess with some of the data that I've got here. So action animation is going to be attack, and it will cause whatever receives it to do the bad effect animation. Let's see, receipt animation, a spell, good effect, good effect. Whoa, did not intend for that. Restore 'em is going to cause the good effect. And it's going to cause bad effect. Now, problem is, though, this is something you might have picked up on, Sara is not fully data-driven just yet. I need to make it so that whenever you start up a new game, she reads all of her abilities from that manager there, and I just get her properly set up. So what I need to do Not the ability database. I don't know if you guys have ever had like too many things open where you're like trying to remember which thing it is you need to be working with or whatever. I don't have it happen a lot, but I do have it happen. Cast spell, good effect, cast spell, good effect. Cast spell, good effect. Okay. Cast spell, yeah, okay. Cool. Should work. Seems legit. Okay. I'm gonna head straight for the crystal cave and get in a random battle. Hopefully this looks as good as the sort of animations you saw in the NES days. Otherwise, it's going to be a little interesting. And also there's these Z buffering issues in the background. I need to figure out how to get rid of those. Turning on texture and isotropy sort of helped, like in the foreground, but just like the further away from the camera it gets, the more of those seams you start to see. Okay, there we go. There's our cute little slime. Whoa. He's flickering a lot. I probably want to do something about that flickering. Flickering is bad. You heard it here. You heard it here first, folks. Flickering is bad. As Vardul 2015. Okay. So it's a one shot, one shot, one shot, and the idle is technically a looping, although it's really more of just a single frame. Okay. Let's go get some treasure. And another thing I need to do is figure out a way to stop the one-shot effects from playing. But I can do that later on this week. There we go. Actually doesn't look too bad. Alright, another battle. I'm gonna open up with Metagard this time. That way I don't get killed by a slime. And I get the regeneration. Actually, this is looking a lot better than I thought it would. I guess there's something to be said for the old animation styles after all. Oh, and something else, like you notice how we took a little bit of damage? Yeah, you can actually use tonics to heal up a little bit. So yeah, slimes are a real enemy now. I guess what I could do artistically is I could try some other things on the slime instead of just using like its light frame and its dark and its silhouette there. Even though those are extremely easy things to do, and that look pretty okay, I could try some other stuff, at least until I can get an artist involved on the project. Really though, I'm kind of happy with the progress we've made tonight. I think I've got the game looking a lot better even than it did as of yesterday, which is when I showed the thin slice off. Got a little bit of time left in the broadcast, so if there's anything you guys would like to ask, I would be more than happy to answer. And I see a Fool's Duty is way ahead. Is that JSON file you named .text for some reason? Yes, it is. The reason that the JSON files are named .text is because it's stored as a text asset, and the way I have it set up right now, well, the way Unity's set up, if I were to name it .json, it it wouldn't properly interpret the text asset as a text asset. It would do something completely weird, or I'd have to create a resources folder. And because I am planning to have a sort of a trial version built as a web player, um, I do need a a built-in data source for that trial version. But ultimately, in the Windows version, I mean, eventually I'm going to wind up having to create a resource thing. So it probably that JSON file probably won't have the TXT extension for very long. Yeah, Unity is, yeah, it's a good engine. Don't get me wrong. I've had people mention some of the gripes about other engines like ActionScript. Let's see, Athelian123. How did you go about learning Unity? Well, um, it wasn't so hard because I'd had a little bit of experience with a prior game engine called RPG Toolkit. Um, it wasn't. There was a lot of differences because RPG Toolkit's like a ghetto version of RPG Maker, but really, I'd had some experience with writing games. I'd created a couple of small noob projects in RPG Maker, and I just sort of looked at existing projects and taught myself. This was long before Unity had that little learn button that you could use to watch video tutorials or whatever. So pretty much what I did was I looked for every tutorial I could find. I made a really crappy shoot 'em up game of my own, and just over the years, I've been just slowly iterating on my code base, making prototypes, throwing them away when I realized they could never work. And eventually, I have the code base that I'm showing to you guys today. So it's both finding tutorials and just trying to make stuff and not caring if it fails or not. So yeah, that's sort of how I went about learning it. I looked for tutorials and I tried to make stuff on my own in tandem. There you go. And there's a little bit of a lag for Twitch as usual. So if you guys have any more questions, it'll take them a second to appear. I guess one of the things I could do while I'm waiting on y'all's questions is I could open the battle scene and turn off these debug mode switches. That's just spamming unnecessary information. Guess I could also, yeah, I can turn off this health bit presenter there too. Okay, run it. Let me run it again. Yeah, so there's Mr. McSlime. All right, so cool. It didn't spam up my console, so that's a good thing. Yeah, Unity's a really cool engine. I do enjoy it. One of these days, I am actually going to look at the Unreal Toolkit, just because there's a lot of people who like Unreal for different reasons. I'm really curious about their visual scripting language. That's something really cool. I really think Unity could stand to include. I'm probably not ever going to develop anything seriously in the Unreal Dev Kit, but I don't know. It's something that'd be really cool to take a look at. It's always good to know as many technologies as you can, actually. Yes, I guess sort of the reason why I'm able to iterate my tools also is I am a professional programmer. I do web development work during the work week. And so I have a lot of experience writing both C# and real JavaScript. That's another important thing is Unity's what Unity calls JavaScript and what actually is JavaScript are two completely different things. Athelian, oh, and speaking of Athelian's ahead of me, what programming language does Unity use? Unity uses C Sharp most dominantly. There's also a curly brace language that Unity likes to try to tell you is JavaScript, but it's really not. There's a long list of differences between Unity script, which is what the community calls that language, and actual JavaScript. Um, if you've used Game Maker, I would think that picking up Unity script would be pretty simple, really. I would still highly recommend you use C Sharp because C Sharp, well, is a real programming language, and as a result, is a transferable skill. So if you want to get into games, you try to get in, you write a bunch of code, but then for some reason you decide gaming isn't for you. Hey, you've got another skill to fall back on that pays the bills, and it's always a good idea to think ahead like that. I would highly recommend that if you're going to be using Unity, you go straight for C Sharp. Just take the dive, learn the language. It's powerful, it's relatively simple. There's some quirks um, that Unity has with C Sharp specifically. It has to do with the platform that they're running C Sharp on. Um, but ultimately, it's not going to be any more difficult than learning Unity script or learning Game Maker's programming language or whatever. Um, just take the dive, learn C Sharp, learn the editor. I guess on the subject of bringing up the word learn so often, there's a little link at the top of the Unity forums that says learn. That has all of their video tutorials. And while some of them can be a little bit on the boring side, I highly recommend watching them. That's a great place to learn how to use the editor, which, as the name implies, is, well, the purpose of it. You learn to use the system. So yeah, definitely go for C Sharp and watch those tutorials. It'll pay off big. Oh, and they have tutorial projects so that you can actually see some of this stuff in action for yourself. Other than that, though, yeah, I mean, it's about 10 p.m. where I'm at, so it's probably a prime time for me to go ahead and stop the broadcast. Unless you guys have any other things that you want to ask about. Probably what I'm going to be doing within the next 2 weeks on Sara the Shieldmage is I'm going to be adding a little bit more content. I'm going to be adding some more side quests, finishing off some of those things I really should have in the game, like the save system. Um, just yeah, just try to expand my thin slice into being not so thin, really. So yeah, I really appreciate you guys watching. You guys make this stream a much better place. I'm glad you enjoy my work, and I'm glad I can say some things that are helpful to you guys. So I think with that, I'll go ahead and cut stream. I hope you all have a great night and a great upcoming week. And I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Catch y'all later. Bye.